If you thought that Alpine was going to escape the proliferation of electric SUVs because of the brilliant little A110, then you'd be disappointed, because this is the A390 Beta, and it's a... well, what exactly is that? Well, Alpine calls it a sport fastback, but to me it's basically a jacked up saloon, and that's because it's on Renault's Ampere medium platform, which shares bits with things like the Nissan Ariya and also the Renault Scenic E-Tech, which doesn't sound that promising for a sporty brand, if I'm honest. But what you do get is Alpine being way more practical, and also a change in the naming structure. So if an Alpine has a 10 in the name, that means it's little and light, and if it's a 90, it's more every day. So you have things like an A110, which is small and light and quick, and then the 290 and the 390, which are a bit more everyday and slightly bigger. So the first letter after the A denotes the size, 1, 2 or 3. This is the A390, so it's the largest version and the more everyday. So A110, little, light and quick. A390, bigger, heavier, also quite quick. It's confusing, isn't it? But before we dig into it, it's worth pointing out that this car isn't real. I might be able to touch it and it might look real, but actually this is a show car, hence the Beta tag. So apparently this car is about 85% real, but 15% of difference can be quite a lot. So I'm going to try and point that out as we go.
It's actually quite sporty looking. Alpine says that it's supposed to be a 5-seater A110, even though the concept only has 4 seats. It's got a low nose, it's grille-less with this big swoop of a roofline. Slim LEDs all round with this flying bridge on the nose. And this grille and these side scallops aren't so much for cooling as aero, trying to make this thing as slippery as possible.
I mean, look at that. It's certainly not a blob, and this profile is probably quite close to production spec. 22-inch wheels at the front, 23-inch wheels at the back, and then it's got this light strip at the back, which actually can extend out and go from short to long tail and improve the aerodynamic efficiency. Although that's not production, the wheels won't look like that, and you can get little lights for your wheels from Halfords. I thought I'd hate this. I thought I'd hate the idea of an Alpine SUV, especially because it was electric, but I don't hate it. It's certainly better than a lot of the anonymous blobs that you see on the road, and I'd happily give up a bit of rear headroom for favour of something that I could actually recognise in a car park.
But the interesting stuff doesn't stop there. Alpine knows that it wants to position itself as the premium sporty bit of Renault, so the A390 Beta gets some extra va-va-voom to go with the look. Albeit 15% not real, don't forget.
These doors will not make it to production, but I kind of wish they would. And also this interior is modelled on a mountain landscape. Also not real. Okay, so as you may have noticed, there's quite a lot going on in the cabin of the A390 Beta. So you get the key, which is this lozenge of little crystal, and put it in the centre of this yoke steering wheel to start the car. That's not real. You've got your information displays in front of you on 3 glass panels. That's not real. And then the drive selector buttons are in the middle, and they're supposed to represent polished pebbles. Also not real. Although there are some buttons down there to alter the hydraulic suspension and play with things like the power delivery, and there's an OV or overtake button on the steering wheel, which is likely to be real. There is also a button that you can press to change the driving position from an upright and comfortable position to F1 style. Now, I'm not sure that would be entirely legal to do on the road, but it doesn't matter because it's not real. And in the back, there are a couple of generous seats, though the real one will actually be a 5-seater, and it's supposed to represent being trapped in a snowdrift. And I'm not sure how excited I am by that, to be honest. One thing it does have that I really adore are minifigures all over the inside. Look, they're snowboarding down the back seats. Not currently due for production, but again, I wish they were. One thing it won't be is slow. Now, Alpine reckons that this car will have 3 electric motors, so it'll be tri-motor, 2 at the back and 1 at the front, giving it all-wheel drive. Now, if you stick in a decent battery, say 87 kilowatt hours at a guess, you'll need something like 600 brake horsepower to make it quick enough. But the interesting thing is that Alpine is convinced that what it can do with the torque vectoring systems with that many motors is make this car feel really, really nimble and very light to drive, which is a very Alpine thing. They say that it will feel like an A110 to drive, which is very difficult with a fat electric car.
The slight problem here is that Alpine is traditionally about racing and precision, and electric SUVs aren't. As a brand, it's been around since 1955, with the original A110 back in 1962. Racy and awesome road cars based around the company's philosophy of lightness, agility and competitive spirit. The A110 combustion car felt entirely appropriate, but a big electric SUV kind of doesn't. It's likely not lighter than the competition, and agile and competitive spirit would be a bit more subjective than anything. But the fact that Alpine people talked a lot about feel and fun rather than just speed bodes well. They might not be able to do much about the weight, but they may just be able to play with that torque vectoring to make the car feel spry. Let's hope so.
And if 600 brake sounds like a lot, then there'll probably be a lighter, more efficient rear-wheel drive car that comes along later for a bit less money.
So the A390 Beta might not be offering too much in the way of reality, but it gives us an idea as to what the A390 proper might actually look like, at least on the outside. Competition? Most probably something like a Porsche Macan, the electric one, or a Polestar 4, or the Tesla Model Y, or any of the other mid-sized electric SUVs out there. Will it be significantly better to drive or more sporty?
Possibly, but Alpine needs to be ultra focused on maintaining its kind of lightweight, driver focused USP, especially because the new A110 is due to be all electric. So there you have it. Alpine goes large electric SUV. Let me know what you think in the comments.